And I remember I shook to it. I was like, no, man. And he goes, heater. I go, yeah. So I remember I get to the stretch. I look at the runner at third and I smiled. I smirked. And it was just kind of like one of those things like, you guys are going home, get invited over to camp just because he can throw lefty. I remember thinking to myself, like, he got invited over just because he can throw lefty. I was like, okay. I was like, all right. I was like, all right, I'm going to learn how to throw left-handed. And I remember thinking, like, am I nuts for that? Or, at the end of the day, it's baseball. If I can do it, it'll work out. If not, I can still throw right-handed, right? So it was almost like one of those, like, crazy high reward, no risk at all.
Yeah.
And I think this is where I started to adopt that mentality of, you know what, screw it. What's the worst that's going to happen? You know what I mean?
We just open up. Welcome back. Open Exchange Podcast. I'm here with a friend, man. It's been a minute, bro. It's been, oh God, we're talking, we're 35, 36 years old.
Yeah.
So
2011,
very long time ago. I got to open up because the memory I have of you is coming into was it a 9-inning game? I think it was a 9-inning game of the NECC championship. And you closed it out. We won that game, I believe, 3-2. It was a full count, and in my memory, I thought that the count, the 3-2 count, I thought it was bases loaded. Was not bases loaded. I guess the memory of the bases loaded comes from me, who started that game. I ended up opening that game, and every inning for the first 3 innings, we got out of a jam.
It's crazy,
which was wild, bro. Like when I think about that in itself. How that series unfolded, because we went in as the favorite, and you, Anthony, and some of the other guys, after we lost that first game, we had to win basically 4 in a row. Going into that last game, which was a do or die game, I had to come back and pitch after 2 days rest, after pitching game 1 or 2, if I can't remember.
Maybe not even 36 hours if you think about it, right?
36 hours, and it was an awesome time to play some baseball. But you come in and strike out the batter looking. I actually watched that video this morning.
That's
I still
awesome.
have it on Facebook. So what I'll do is when I chop this up, I'll make sure I include that in there. But cool. I don't remember you. I think you started testing out pitching a little bit towards the end of that season. What do you remember specifically about like what's going on in your mind? Because you seem very composed, very confident. Yeah, it didn't seem like there wasn't a lot of shake in your boots in anything that you did. You're a great defensive player. You can hit the ball, but there was not a lot of shake in your boots. So we'll talk about where that mindset comes from, how that has developed over the years. But then again, just that moment, that 3-2 count, striking him out, looking, I believe it was a fastball outside, right on the corner, right on the black. And it sent us off to the regional bid for the first time ever. So walk me through that, man. Yeah,
absolutely. I love that you started out with that. Because I was actually thinking about that myself this morning, and it is exactly what you said, that mindset. And at first it popped up. If you remember, we had the 100-inning game in the fall, and we were just all rotating. We were doing our thing, having fun, playing baseball. It was like a 10, 12-hour day, if you remember, right? Everybody was playing everywhere. And I hopped on the mound, and I remember Scott Kingston, our coach, looking at me after 2 throws, and he goes, "Rossi, what are you doing?" And I was like, "What do you mean, what am I doing? We're playing baseball, man. I'm just, being a kid, being an athlete. I'm on the mound here." He goes, "You're going to throw for us. We're going to find a way to throw." I'm like, get out of here. Like, what are you talking about? He goes, "No, I'm serious, man. Because if you remember that year, we only had, 17 guys on the team. Right. And then we were even hoping that more guys were going to come in the spring. And if those, Oppo and Oz and Carlos and Felix, Angel, Gus, all those guys that popped in, if that doesn't happen, it's like, man, do we even get that opportunity, right? Do I have that chance to do that? Yeah, and a lot of it, it's out of passion, because at the end of the day, I give a damn. I care about what I do. I care about what I do for others. And, that will be a story, as we get to it. But when I hopped on the mound, it's kind of like, screw it. I'm having fun. I'm being a kid. I'm having fun. I'm being an athlete. And I remember it was a runner on first. I think it was either base hit or I walked the batter. And he ends up stealing. And Anthony threw a missile. Just you remember our field, man. It was a bad bad piece of grass and dirt that we had to play on.
I played there for 4 years, so
right. Took a wild hop to McGarry there off the lip and a shot into center field, and he ends up going to third. Mm-hmm. So that was ball 3.
There was a runner on third. That's what it was. Got it.
Yeah. So now it's 3-2, runner on third, bottom 9. Or it was a top 9. It was Southern Vermont.
Southern. It was bottom because they I think because they beat us in that first game, they had home field the rest of the way.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. All right. So we got bottom 9, 3-2, 2 out. And I remember Anthony puts down a slider. I was just fastball slider pretty much. Mm-hmm. And I remember I shook to it. I was like, no, man. And he goes, heater. I go, yeah. So I remember I get to the stretch. I look at the runner at third and I smiled. I smirked. And it was just kind of like one of those things like, you guys are going home, and end up delivering the pitch. And I remember it was a 2-seamer. I ran it back over, just trusted that infield arm, to get a little run, get a little sink on it, froze him up. And I just remember all you guys charging out, rushing on top of me. And that was it, man. But man, what a cool moment. The best part about this, my dad was in Hagerstown, Maryland, because he was scouting at the time, and he was listening and tuning in to any type of updates on the computer that he can get. And he said, I was more nervous walking on the concourse. I didn't even care about watching the game. He's like, man, Drew's on the mound. These guys are about to win it. They're about to go do something cool. And that was a special moment for us for sure.
Yeah, man, it really was a cool moment. Like, the year before in 2010, we were co-champions, and the way that the program and that conference navigated, up until literally you guys came, and when Kingston came in, was kind of like, I won't say Bush League, but there wasn't, didn't seem like there was dedication to the sport of baseball. There was no reason why the year before that we should have had a co-champion for that. We should be able to make the makeup game and determine whether or not I would think it was us and Daniel Webster. So while that felt like, all right, well, we were champions, there was nothing like running from left field, because I was in left field, running from left field and mobbing everybody at home plate. At home plate in the middle of the field after you struck somebody out. With moments like that, and we're older now, right? And we'll talk more about the life aspect. Then at 21, 22 years old, we're untouchable. There's an element of being, we don't really have care in the world. And in those moments, they tell us that baseball teaches us a lot of life, and your dad has the background, the baseball background, and you played your entire life, but you don't really understand that what that means until you get a little bit older and start experiencing real difficult times and challenges and whatnot. Right. Bringing you back into that moment specifically, what do you feel like it's taught you over life, and maybe any other moments throughout your baseball playing career, coaching career, and kind of where you are today?
I think you hit the nail on the head. You're not invincible. Yes, you had a successful moment, and it's very easy to let ego take over. And it's like, from that perspective, right? From the arrogant version of yourself that could come out, you look at that and you're like, Drew did great. But there was 26 other outs that happened. Yeah. On the field, there were 30 plus at bats that put runners in scoring position. It's just like, we can all easily step back. That moment that was highlighted on that video is, here's Drew delivering the pitch and the game is over. Yeah. And he is celebrating with his teammates. Right. And it's a very, like you said, it's a very common thing for people to think. And it's like, when you look at that, no, I don't get that position without everybody's help, everybody's assistance, everybody's effort, and vice versa. In all the the moments that you guys had in the game, we all help contribute, to that. And I think that's one of the biggest things you need to learn. And when you get beat up in life, you get scarred, you get burnt, you get shook, whatever it comes down to, to reflect on those moments is extremely valuable and extremely important, and being able to get back up and make that adjustment. But yeah, in that given time, man, at 22 years old, I'm on top of the world. I got to figure it out. Yeah. It's all about me. How can I make me better? How can I make me awesome? And it's like, man, oh man, is that so wrong? In so many places.
What a life lesson. And again, I'm thankful to have played the game of baseball. I'm sure there's a lot of sports in general that people have played and you can learn similar lessons. But I think baseball being a game of failure, or at least how people perceive failure, very much like anything in just our everyday life as adults. I work in sales. I have insurance sales, and I take that baseball mentality of, okay, if I can, hit on 3 of 10 phone calls on a given week, that's successcul, and that channels from the baseball mentality. I'm gonna fail more than I'm gonna win. But again, in the actual moments of being 21, 22 years old, and we have this tendency, for me, like I look back and I know that I didn't work hard enough to the ultimate goal. And I heard something recently that I think is really important, is that you have to detach from the outcome so that way you can live within the process. If you have if you are constantly focused on, let's just say for the sake of just our discussion now and where we are, winning a championship, and you're just so set on what that's going to feel like, but you're not putting yourself through the little tiny pieces of work that requires you to be that good, it's actually going to be it's going to work in bad fashion for you. What's fascinating about your journey, obviously playing through college, coming over to Mitchell, forgive me for my lack of memory, because I think that there's just so much things that have happened in the last decade and a half. You did you play a little bit more afterwards? Did you?
I did.
Okay, yeah. Bring me to what you did.
I did. So that summer, I ended up signing with the Washington Wild Things. I had a pre-draft workout with the Minnesota Twins.
I do remember that.
It went well. It was just one of those things where if they had an opportunity available, or if they didn't sign a certain amount of guys, I might have got a chance. So I ended up signing with the Washington Wild Things. I finished there that summer. I had, to my surprise, because I wasn't sure if I was, ready for that type of baseball yet. I mean, no disrespect to any college athlete, but I went from a junior college to a D3 for 2 years. Right. And if you look at the way things work out nowadays, it's very rare that a Division III baseball player does continue their career outside of playing. It's usually D2 or D1. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation, right? So I ended up going to the Wild Things. I mean, I had guys around my roster that were first round draft picks, second round draft picks, AA guys. I mean, I got one of my big hits during the year off Cedric Redmond, who was a former big league arm, and it's like, man, like this is still some really good baseball, even though it's independent baseball. So the manager that was there ended up leaving. And then I bounced around a little bit with opportunities. In 2012, I was with the New Jersey Jackals. I played my ass off. I did everything I needed to do, but he had some IOUs out to the kid that was there before, so he ends up taking him. So I don't go that whole summer without playing again. Right? Wow. 2013 rolls around. I end up going to the Rockland Boulders. I get a workout. Same thing. I bust my ass. I'm playing hard in the spring. I'm doing everything I need to do. Boom, I end up getting cut. I don't get another opportunity. So this is 2 summers in a row now where I'm not getting at bats. I'm not playing. And I'm just like, man, like I know I can play. And thankfully I had a phenomenal support system around me at the time that I was able to make that possible. I was doing, lessons and things on the side. So I was staying busy with what I was doing. So I'm working out, I'm getting bigger, I'm getting stronger. I'm sending video out to people. And then the Washington Nationals called me in the winter of 2013. And I ended up signing a free agent contract with them, and I went to spring training.
Oh, that's fine. I didn't know that.
Yes. Yeah. So for the spring of 2014 with the Nationals, I was there the entire spring training. Same thing. It was super cool because that first day I get there, I remember looking around. I was like, man, I got the high school kid, first round draft pick. I got, University of Florida, Florida State. I mean, I got all these dudes, and I'm here. I'm in the same colors. I'm wearing red. I'm wearing navy. I got the curly W on my hat. I mean, this is pretty awesome, right? Yeah. And I end up same thing, playing hard, doing my thing. I thought at the very least I would have stayed in extended spring after the teams broke, just kind of like an extra guy in case something happens. And I end up getting released the very last day. And it was my current boss now, Mark Shalava, who was our farm director, and Doug Harris was the president, farm director at the time. And they called me in. They're like, hey man, you did everything and then some. That we asked you to do. You showed up every day, worked hard. We just don't have the spots right now. We don't have the room. I was like, man. I was like, that's tough. But at the same time, I did have a backup plan. I had a spot to go to with the Traverse City team in the Frontier League. So, I ended up getting released. I ended up going with Traverse City. played the whole first half. I ended up getting released, and it was one of those things where I was like, you know what? It's not that it was insanity, right? Because we know that definition of insanity. You're doing the same thing over and over, but you're not getting a different result. Yeah. So it's like, man, maybe it's time, for me to venture outside, of the actual playing part of the game, and let me search and see what we got as far as in the working. Because I didn't want to get to a spot, and I felt myself getting to a spot in Traverse City where the workday prior, so taking the ground balls, BP, that started to feel like work. If you said, Drew, show up at 7:05 and come play baseball, I was all in. But I didn't want to get to a spot where I resented the game because I knew I wanted to be in it. Right. So it got to a point where we have a very little staff there. We had the manager, the pitching coach, and the hitting coach. We had a teammate of mine that was at Keystone. That was our first baseman there, Yazzie Arbello. And there was nobody to throw BP to him the one day. So I hopped behind the L screen and I started throwing him BP. And I remember him thinking man, pretty good at this. This is money, man. This is it's over the top, 4-spin, 58 miles an hour, smooth. I mean, this is, you may have something, in this. And I remember my buddy back home, Steven Sunday, who had since passed away during the COVID year. He would always say, if you don't end up playing in the big leagues, you're going to throw BP in the big leagues. And at the same time, we're 23, 24, 25, 26. I'm just like, Steve, come on, man. You serious? You think I'm going to throw batting practice in the big leagues? But thank you for thinking that. That's, right. Because it was one of those things where I only trusted him to throw to me. He trusted me to throw to him. And that was it. It was New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. We were down there, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. I mean, we were always, together working out. And he said that. And I was like, that's an interesting thought. That would be cool. Hop in a big league stadium and just give up some massive homers, throughout the ballpark and see the fans in the stands throw their gloves up and, catch a home run ball. Yeah, that's sick. I like cool. that. I like that. So I ended up leaving Traverse City, had the conversation with Dad, because he is now since retired, 45 years in this game. And I was like, Dad, I think it's time, man. I think it's time for me to, move on. So we had the scout school out in Arizona. It was a 2-week program, and the New York Mets sponsored me to go out there. They had another spot available that they weren't using. It was a 2-week crash course of writing reports, scouting players, evaluations, how to put the summaries together, paint the picture. And I ended up doing very well. I finished top in the class out of 68 participants. I was one of 68, and I had a couple of teams reach out afterwards because the Mets did not have a spot to hire me, but they released my performance to the other clubs and said, hey, man, here's a guy. I feel like he could fit in an organization and can benefit you guys. And I remember one of the main phone calls I had was the Pittsburgh Pirates because I expressed I wanted to do player development, and they end up offering me a position, and that's where the post-playing career had started.
That's incredible, man. What's interesting, too, is that your description of moving from player to coach came obviously with an internal battle, but I think that not as much reluctance as you would see with some other players because they're so attached to this idea of playing in the major leagues, which I'm sure you were, you had that in your mind. But the best thing what I gathered from this with this piece right here, this story, is that you were able to have a plan B. Not a lot of people have a plan B. And I think when you don't have that plan B, that's where there's a lot of volatility with who you are as a person. And I speak for myself who, I've shared several times on my show that I thought I was going to be a professional athlete and play professional baseball. And, I was good and I just didn't put in that work. But I also didn't have a plan B. Like once I graduated, I'm like, oh crap, like, what am I going to do? And I did play a little summer ball that Wood League baseball for a summer or two. And shout out to you. You sent me a couple of C271s.
There we go. Yeah.
I love that bat.
That was my model.
So I think that I hit my first wooden bat home run with one of those, and it was a shot.
I love
too.
it.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Love it.
Anyway, but you don't fall back into, and maybe you share maybe what's going on inside of you. What your thought process is like. you said, "Hey, Dad, like I think it's time. I don't want to resent this part of the game anymore because I love this game."
Yep.
But what's the tug and pull that you feel outside of that? Like specifically, the emotion that's going on, the decision to say, "Listen, I got to step away." Was it easy because you knew that you were still going to stay in the game, or was it a hard pill to swallow because baseball playing, I'm not running the bases, fielding the ball, playing that part of the game anymore. It's gone.
Yeah. I mean, especially that at that time, I was 24 years old. I mean,
Right.
I didn't even hit my peak prime. I mean, I'm in my prime right now, at 36 years old. So to not even tap into my prime and see what I was capable of, but it was just, man, I keep going to places and there's something holding me back. There's something stopping me. It's just that intuition of, man, like how many more years can I keep doing this?
Sure.
Until it breaks. So that is a hard check, to look in the mirror. But yes, there was part of me that I felt confident enough and believed in myself enough that I was going to stay in the game some way, shape, or form. And you'll see as we go along, as much as, the time spent that my dad had, it was one of those things where, I mean, he couldn't even solidify, something, as far as, and not like the nepotism thing, but just like, hey, I got my kid, he wants to stay in baseball. Like, yeah, he has friends, but there's still no guarantee in this game. You still have to go do the job. You still have to perform and all that. But I had a feeling whether it was going to be on the college side, whether I did get into scouting, because I would go to games with Dad and I did have a knack for it and had a love for it, just being at the ballpark, talking baseball. What definitely did help, was going to that scout school and realizing and making my own connections with those people out there that, yeah, I do enjoy this and I am okay with doing this, because again, that competitive side that comes out, now it turns into, hey, I want to write the best report. I want to evaluate the guy better than everybody else. Or if I'm in player development, I want to coach this guy better, than anybody else, So you start to see, those things come out of you, to get, again, bring that competitive edge out and find a different way to compete, a different way to add value, to this game, for yourself.
What are you learning about yourself throughout those years? And what are you still learning about yourself?
That I don't know a damn thing.
What do you mean?
It's easy for all of us to think we know everything in the world.
Yeah.
And then, if you don't ask those good questions, if you don't observe, and one of my favorite quotes, and the guys hear me say it a lot here, I learned to listen with my eyes. And, you say that and people are like, what do you mean listen with your eyes? It's like, man, you watch, behaviors and routines of people and you pick up on stuff. I mean, you're going to gather so much more information. I feel like than asking questions, then you start to ask the good questions, but it's very easy for somebody to walk in and be like, hey, look what I can do. Here's what I know. And it's like, okay, that's cool, but you really don't know a damn thing.
Right.
And
go ahead. My bad.
No, go for it.
No, I'm just thinking like, you've worn a lot of hats, right? Player, scout, played
front
again,
office, player development, rehab coach,
all of it, coach, bullpen catcher, which we'll tap into because that's super dope, bro. At some point, I'm going to ask you to turn that camera around so we can get a view of the office. A view of the office.
Absolutely.
But you encounter a lot of people, younger, older, same age. How do you communicate the passion that you have for the game with these people at the same time of trying to teach what you know? And the follow-up question to this is, as a bullpen catcher, are you the one learning or are you the one teaching? That's something I'm actually curious about.
I like that. All right. So when I took my job with Pittsburgh, I kind of look back at it now. Anything that I speak of, just because some of the people that I met there, not only did they develop players, they developed the man, which it is extremely important because at the end of the day, I'm going to be, a brother, a friend, down the road, a husband, a father, I'm an uncle now, to my two little dudes, Sutton and Wesley, that my sister has since had, so I hope to be a role model for them.
Yeah.
And we were so focused on creating that because at the end of the day, I'm going to be that guy longer than I am the baseball,
of course,
Drew.
Of course.
Right. Which I think is huge. So when I took my job with Pittsburgh, that year was just, hey man, I'm going to put on my white belt So from a karate perspective, right, it's the white belt's the beginner. I'm going to put my white belt on. There's no black belt here. There's no red belt. I'm not even close to that yet. And I'm just going to learn, watch, speak when spoken to, hopefully ask some good questions and just let me sit back and just absorb everything, man, just like a sponge. I remember my first day in our meeting, Clint Hurdle was at the front of the room. He would go around the room. Hey, what's your one thing this year? Everybody, what's your one thing? What's your one thing? I just instinctively said, I'm just going to be a sponge, man. I'm going to soak everything up and learn it all. And he stopped and paused at me. He goes, I love that.
Yeah.
Because he goes, who are you? And I was like, I'm Drew Rossi, one of the new, extra coaches, front office assistant here. He goes, that's awesome. And I was like, oh cow, first day. And I'm over here, at least getting this guy to know who I am, and Clint Hurdle here, our manager of the team.
Right.
And, throughout those years, you start to build that confidence. And Pittsburgh let me do everything, man. They let me amateur scout. They let me pro scout, scouted internally, taking care of rehab position players from the big leagues down to the Dominican Summer League. If anybody's at the complex, I was coaching first base in the complex league, throwing batting practice, hitting fungos. I mean, it was everything and anything. And then that confidence started to come out like I did as a player. It's like, man, I am pretty decent at hitting fungos. Man, the guys do love my batting practice. I am, evaluating this guy the correct way or having that good conversation when someone of higher rank asks me a question. You're starting to build those relationships. And then at the same time, you have those group of guys who are gunning for the same position that I am or wanting to get a promotion, so it's a very psychological, egotistical game, that happens, post playing, because in the playing side, it's performance, man. Hey, that guy, he hit 330, 20 pumps, 25 ribbies last year. We need that guy.
Yeah.
Here it's like, okay, how do I show my value? How do I show I'm worth something? How do I show I'm bringing something forward without turning people off or rubbing it in their face or bringing out the arrogance when it's passion that gets mistaken for arrogance.
Yeah.
Which I think perception is huge.
That's
perception
great.
is everything.
That's a great, I think that, and I mean to interrupt and we can kind of go back into that, but that is something that I think early on when people met you specifically, people who didn't get to know you, because I had the privilege of getting to know you because you were roommates with Anthony, Steven, and that it was just you three, right?
Yes. Yeah. Me, Steve, and Anthony. Yeah.
And that getting to know you on that level, you know that this dude is just passionate about what he does. But the outside crew can definitely misconstrue that as you being very arrogant.
Every bit.
Yeah, being someone who thinks that he's better than he's not. I never thought that because I got to know you. When did you? And I guess this is probably I'm kind of tying questions all in together here, so I apologize.
Go for it.
When did you recognize that? Because that is something that you have to reflect on as a person. Either somebody tells you something about yourself on how you come off, or you're already aware of it. But when you recognize the real depiction of who people believe and think that you are, when did that change for you? Because I think that's probably going to be consistent when your career has probably took an upward trajectory. Every bit.
Probably my second year. Just because a lot of the same guys came back in the same position that I was in. And then there were, whispers of positions opening up. And at the end of the day, man, for the people who truly know me, I just want the jersey.
Yeah.
Let me go out and let me help people, and again, it is super, super easy to come off as that guy thinks he's the best.
Mm-hmm.
And where it helped in a good way, our assistant general manager, Kyle Stark, who led our player development department, still to this day, this guy is the only person I look to impress in my life. More than my father, more than my mother, more than family. And it was just one of those guys where when this guy walked in a room, he set a standard. He didn't have to say a word. He demanded excellence, which I think is phenomenal, which I learned to adopt. It's not perfection because nobody's perfect. You can't be perfect. Right. You can be excellent though. And I adopted that spot where, hey man, if you show up every day and you're average, you got a chance to be good. You start stacking those good days, you got a chance to be great. And then when you really start stacking them and you're consistent, and those great days start turning into excellence. And that's what this guy expected. And one of the things he hit us with as a group, he goes, hey, if you're going to do something, do it to be the best in the world. I was like, whoa. I was like, that is a whole different conversation. That is a different room. That is a different table. And they are eating a different meal because, like, wait a minute, do it. Okay. Like, I was doing it because I wanted to perform well.
Sure.
Now this guy's over here saying, do it to be the best in the world. Okay. Well, I think best in the world, it's funny. I make this joke because I started as a hobby. I collect cards.
I saw that actually. I forgot about it. I did see that recently.
So every once in a while they drop that 1 of 1.
Right.
Well, what does that mean? Yeah. There's not 1 of 2. There's no 1 of 3, 1 of 100. It's that one. People are chasing that one. Be that one. And I was like, all right, what do I need to do to be 1 of 1?
Right.
Because I'm the one, I get inspired by the challenges. I get inspired by, progression and process. And it's like, okay, how do I make Drew 1/10 of 1% better every day? Because at the end of the year, man, that's 36%. That's a hell of a year.
That's the James Clear Atomic Habits. That's the motto. 36% better. Yeah.
You find a way to do that, you're going to have a really good year. So I was like, okay, what are some things I can do? Okay, let me scout better. Let me work on my fungo. Let me hit my fungo better. Let me throw BP better. Okay, let me start. All right, in batting practice, let me see if I can throw a curveball, slider, 2-seamer, sinker, changeup, cut. All right, now let me add manipulation to the ball, not just BP. Like that. Let me be the guy that, hey, if they want something done, call Rossi. I want, and I got obsessed with that.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like we talked about, it's easy, when you have that passion, you have that drive, everybody has the same 24 hours in the clock.
Yep.
And I remember where it stood out. We had something happen where I was told by some of my higher ups, like, man, your BP is the best. Guys love your BP. It's, one of the best I've seen. Love that. But I never got invited to big league camp.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I remember thinking like, man, like I'm having, personal success. People are telling me things, right? But I'm not progressing.
Sure.
Like, you're saying these things, but I'm not taking a step forward from that, perspective of things, right? So something happened, little fire underneath my ass. We had a assistant who threw lefty get invited over to camp just because he can throw lefty. I remember thinking to myself, like, he got invited over just because he can throw lefty. I was like, okay.
Oh, man,
I was like, all right. I was like, all right, I'm gonna learn how to throw left-handed. And I remember thinking, like, am I nuts for that? Or, at the end of the day, it's baseball. If I can do it, it'll work out. If not, I can still throw right-handed, right? So it's almost like one of those, like, crazy high reward, no risk at all.
Yeah.
And I think this is where I started to adopt that mentality of, what, screw it. What's the worst that's going to happen? You know what I mean?
Dude, what's crazy though, what I love about this, and this isn't a lesson of just doing things and getting better at it. What you're saying is, I got to fail enough to get good at it.
Correct.
Right? Because you threw lefty for a couple times, like, all right, it's not good, but you didn't let the failure determine your ability to continue on. And a lot of people do that. And that's a lesson I think that anybody can take in life. If you are doing things repeatedly to fail instead of succeed, you are going to find more growth as you as a person. You're going to find yourself in a better position in the ultimate goal that you want in life. And it sounds like that's what you've done in everything that you've been doing.
Yep, every bit. And I remember, so I grabbed Johnny Kranick, he's the brother of Max Kranick, who I ended up signing when I was with Pittsburgh, big league arm. And I grabbed Johnny, and it's like 7:00 at night. He's doing some video stuff and just got done eating dinner. I go, Johnny, come with me for a second. And he knew something was up because my dad and his father owned the baseball academy together back home in Pennsylvania. And Johnny, like since, he's grown up with me, he knows who I am as a person. So we go out there, grab the ball, throw the first one left-handed, and it was brutal. Right. And he looks at me and he goes, what are you doing? I go, just throw it back. Because, again, I had the ass a little bit. And he goes, okay. So I throw it again. And he looks at me like, that was kind of better. All right. I throw it back, Johnny. Like, okay. So I throw the third one, catches it. He looks at me and he goes, yeah, you're going to throw left-handed. He's like, I already see where this is going. I already see what's about to happen. So there are definitely times and places where, that, like you talked about, the right people who know, oh man, this guy he's going to make it happen. He's going to pour into it enough to make this happen. And it's because he cares. He gives a damn. He enjoys what he does. He loves what he does. And I think that's also a big outlier. You need to absolutely love what you do. And I remember my dad saying this growing up. He's like, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a will, if there's a fire burning in there, you don't have to explain that to people. But at the end of the day, if you believe in it, you thoroughly can trick this thing, your brain, to believe that you are that person. Oh my God, that opens up so many more pathways to make things happen.
100%, man. That's, I think what I love about just life in general is that these lessons come as we get older. Like we discussed earlier, we think we have it all figured out from the ages of 21 to however many years. I mean, to this day, there's certain times I'm like, I got it all figured out. But, there's these moments in life that you look back 5, 10, a year ago, whatever it is, that you can reflect on and be like, man, I was a different person then. And I know why, and I know what to do better. As we continue on through the conversation, because I want to go into your role now as a bullpen catcher for the Washington Nationals. I think it's one of the coolest looking ballparks in the country. I haven't been there. I was supposed to go there in 2017, but I ended up not being able to make the trip. I had tickets, I had to sell them. But it looks like one of the cooler looking ballparks. Quickly for the people who are viewing, just show them your office right now.
Of course.
Let people see exactly what you get to go into every single day.
Let's do one of these.
Cool.
Here we go.
That's cool. Yeah, man, that's super, super sweet. You said that you just
this is mostly my view every night. As we're taking a look. Yep, we got number 2 over here.
You're there obviously every day. You're warming guys up. I want to first of all talk about the role, the actual process of getting guys warmed up and whatnot. It's super interesting to see, because these guys seem to get warmed up in a couple pitches and they're ready to go. But for you, really quick, when you get this position, because I remember you announcing there's something that was big was going to happen, and I think maybe a couple of months later down the road, you had announced that you were the bullpen catcher for the Nationals. When you're getting that call to become the position that you're in right now, what the heck is going on in your mind? Like you get to live a childhood dream. Still not playing, but you've been to all 30 ballparks. You're playing catch.
I'll be 30 for 30 once we step in the grounds of Kansas City.
Nice.
I'll be 30 for 30.
Nice.
Yes.
So you 30 people like me, an average person, desire to go watch baseball in a lifetime. To go to all 30 ballparks and experience that. So I've only been to about 6 or 7, if that. You having the opportunity to do it before the age of 40, which is super dope.
Crazy.
But you get that call, hey, bullpen catcher, what do you think? What's going on in your mind? Walk me through that process, and then let's just talk about the work that you're doing, because you said right before we kind of started here, you said you were playing catch with Mackenzie Gore, all-star ball player. You're James Woods. I mean, I could throw a bunch of names out there, and you're with them every single day. So I want to unpack that a little bit.
Every bit, yeah. So let's. I'm gonna go real quick. So I finished those years with Pittsburgh. I stepped into the scouting world. What was crazy was our coordinator of player development, Brian Selman, when I was about to leave Pittsburgh. So I just got the left-handed BP down. So, all right, here's a guy. He throws BP right-handed and left-handed. So Brian's idea was, hey, man, did you ever catch bullpens before? And I'm thinking, so now at this time, I am 28 years old. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking to myself, there is no way this guy just asked me if I catch bullpens. You have got to be kidding me. After all this stuff that I've done, the last 4 years, you want me to sit behind home plate and just catch some of the nastiest shit on the planet? I'm like, what? No, I don't catch bullpens. Right. So I leave Pittsburgh. I amateur scout for a year with the Rays. I pro scout with the Cubs. The Nationals actually brought me back down the fall of 2021 to their instructional league. I ran into my boss again in my hometown of Scranton-Wilkes-Barre. And I was like, Mark, I missed the field, man. I was like, I did the scouting thing. I did the office thing. I was like, I don't Love it. I don't love it like I do throwing batting practice because I was absent from it for about 3 years with the scouting. Didn't throw batting practice, didn't hit a fungo, wasn't in the trenches with the guys, going to war with them for 9 innings, every night, and I was like, man, I miss that. I can always scout. You can always go to scouting. You're scouting even while you're doing that. So I was like, why don't I just try and combine the two? So we bring me down. I was lined up to be the hitting coach in the complex league because the manager was just the previous hitting coach there. Mark gets promoted. New guy comes in, had some IOUs out to his buddies. So I end up getting pushed out of there. But it set me on the track for what I'm currently doing now. So I end up going to Billings, Montana with Jim Riggleman. Riggs managed 9 years in the big leagues on top of 35 plus as a big league coach, minor league field coordinator, you name it. He had all the roles in the world. And Dan Radisson was out there. He was our hitting coach. So everywhere Riggs was, Rad was with him. So this is independent baseball. I'm starting my coaching career, and I had a major league manager and a major league coach as my 2 guys that I'm going to work with every day in independent baseball. That makes no sense. It makes no sense in the world, right? Yeah. And I remember I'm on the plane, and this is back to where we said where I was doing things. I was having personal success, right? Drew Rossi was having success, but I was not progressing forward.
Yeah.
All right. So I remember being on the plane. I'm going to God's country in Montana, which is one of the most beautiful places in the world. I suggest anybody listening to this, please find a way to go out there at some point in time. And I'm on the flight, man. I'm just looking out the window. I was like, you know what, man? This isn't about me anymore. This has nothing to do with me at all. I mean, there's going to be 26 guys out here. I am 2 time zones away. I am 36 to 40 hours by drive, 2 flights from home. I'm here to baseball. Yeah. If these guys want ground balls, they're getting ground balls. If they want fly balls, they're getting fly balls. If they want conversation, they're getting it. That's all. I'm here to baseball 24/7. I'm pouring everything I got into this. I'm going to help one of these guys go sign somewhere else, play at a higher level, hopefully impact them some way, shape, or form. Sure. Right. And I remember getting out there. It's the first day. And I introduced myself to Dan Radisson. And the last time I met Rad, I was 2 years old in Albany, New York. My dad was scouting a game, and Rad picked me up, brought me into the outfield with Mariano Rivera, Derek Jeter, Tino Martinez. All those guys were there in short season.
That's cool.
So I introduced myself. I'm like, hey, Dan, I'm Drew Rossi. I'm Phil Rossi's son. And he about had a heart attack right there on the left field line of the field.
That's cool.
And he goes,
that's a cool circle right there.
Very cool, right? So, and not to mention both Riggs and Rad. Also, Riggs managed here for the Nationals for 2 years. Rad was his first base coach. Okay, so. And I'll tell you, he ends up saying something that it's easy to be tempted by to fall back into that vicious cycle again. But I didn't allow it to happen. And we're talking, and like I said, he about had a heart attack. And he walks away. He's just like in disbelief, right? Yeah. So he comes back like an hour later. We're doing some stuff. He comes up to me. He goes, who the hell did you say you were again? I was like, I'm Drew Rossi. I'm Phil Rossi's son. He goes, the legendary scout Phil Rossi? I was like, wow, that's the first time I ever heard anybody say that. But yeah, we can run with that. Let's run with that. He goes, what the hell are you doing out here? I was like, I think the same thing you are. Like, I'm getting my coaching career started. He goes, man, like you didn't work, with any other teams? I was like, no, I did. I was with the Pirates for a couple of years, the Rays, Cubs, but I just really missed the field stuff. And this was the opportunity that came about. And he's like, you can see him thinking like, that doesn't make sense. This guy's dad is in this game, and he has to come all the way out here to get something going. I get, where that comes from and why he would think that. Right. So we started taking batting practice. He goes, hey, Doggy. He called everybody Doggy. He goes, hey, Doggy, you got group 1. I was like, all right. So hop up there, throw the first ball, see his head perk up behind the turtle. Okay. Throw the second one, bop. Guy hits the crap out of it. Second one, bop, hits the crap out of it. He goes, hey, what the hell are you doing here? Right. And I remember thinking like, looking behind the screen, like one of these, and you're like, what am I doing wrong?
Right.
Like, it's just BP, man. Right. Like throw another one. See him slap the turtle. Seriously. What the hell are you doing here? I'm thinking like, okay, he's got to be saying in a sense, like, what am I physically doing here? Like, why I'm out here. So we finished batting practice, and he comes up to me and he goes, Doggy, why are you here? Again, I was like, Brad, I told you at this time, he's 60, 66. I believe,
yeah.
so that makes it even funnier. It's like dad / grandpa,
Sure.
and it's just one of those things. And I was like, yeah, again, I'm trying to get my coaching career started. He goes, hold on a second, pulls out his phone while the other group of BP is going on. And he has since worked for the Houston Astros. I don't know who he called, but they pick up the phone. He goes, hey, I got something for you. I got a kid here. I don't care who you have. This dude needs to be in the big leagues with you right now.
That's crazy, bro.
And my heart dropped. I was just like, I haven't even known you for 2 hours yet. And
That's crazy.
You're dropping one of thank you. Like I never received a compliment like that in my life.
Right.
But it was like one of those things where if you don't commit to what you're trying to do and try to change, I can easily walk down that left field line like, hey, this guy thinks I'm in the big leagues. I should be in the big leagues. It could change the whole persona, the whole perspective of what was going on. Yeah. And I took that. I was like, wow, that I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that he thinks that way in a very short span. How do I build off of it? And how do I get better now? Yeah. How do I stay consistent with it? How do I really make that guy at the end of the year vouch for me, commit for me to be like, hey man, whether it's the Dominican Summer League, wherever it is, somewhere, I finally found that mentor to be able to, stand up for me. That's outside of family, to be like, hey, you need this guy to be in your organization, or he can add value to your organization.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? Bro. That's the unconventional way that your path that led you to where you are today. Yes. And it's a testament to, even just from a biblical perspective, a man who has, had his trials and have dealt with ups and downs and whether or not I believe in God. And now I'm back into the faith. Yes. A lot of times we write it out for ourselves and say, hey, this is what's going to happen. We're going to figure this out on our own. This is what I want. And something along the way turns it left or turns it right, but you end up in a better place, Yes. For me, that's the will of God. And that's something that I've always, every bit was confused with, but now I really understand it. We do have a few minutes left. I got a couple of fire questions I want to ask you, because I think that,
but let me add to what you just said about that, so I'll do the short version, but we can obviously, touch on this, sure. Second time around. But at the end of the year, they both took a job with the Marlins. They tried to get me in there. There just wasn't a spot available. So something that came down to, the only two positions that were left was a hitting coach with the Ottawa team and then a bullpen catcher with the Milwaukee Milkmen. And I remember calling up Rad, and I go, Rad, I got a serious question for you. You're the only person so far in my career that has looked me dead in the face and told me how it is. Right? And I go, if I had a bullpen catching to my resume, what do you got? And he goes, doggy, the big leagues without a doubt in my mind.
That's hilarious.
I go, you really think so? I know so. I was like, all right. So when I took that job with Milwaukee, here's the best part. I turned down the hitting coach job that was offered to me, not knowing if I was going to get the bullpen catching job in Milwaukee. I left it up to fate. 2 weeks go by. And again, my dad was like, I can't believe you just said no to a job to go be potentially a bullpen catcher. You don't even know if you're going to get offered that job. I was like, you're right. I go, but I have someone that I trust, that I put a lot of faith in, that made me a lot better, tell me that if I do this, it's going to open up some doors. So 2 weeks go by, calls me. He goes, hey man, want to offer you the spot to be our bullpen catcher. I know you've never caught before, but bring out, I like what you do as far as batting practice, other things. I feel like you're going to help us. I said, let's go do it. So for 100 games, I went out to Milwaukee and Franklin, Wisconsin with the Milkmen and the American Association, learn how to catch. And it was chaos. I'm not going to lie. I mean, the first 2 weeks of doing this, never catching anybody before. Hey man, I got blown up. It's just learning how to do it. Then like anything else, the more you do it every day, you do it consistently every day, you get more confident, get more confident. And that's when that off season, prior to that, the Nationals were coming to Milwaukee, play the Brewers. And I reached out to Mark again. I was like, hey Mark, if you're in town, let's get something to eat. Love to catch up. And he goes, hey, I'm not making the trip, but I'll be in touch soon. And, I took that for face value. And when I got back that offseason, I sent an email out to all 30 teams. I said, hey, here's what I've done. Here's what I can do. If there's something available, please let me know. So you reach out to 30, you hear back from 15, you talk to 10, you interview with 5.
There you go.
Right?
Yep.
So I get that phone call. I came down to the Orioles, the Rockies, and the Nationals pretty much. I thought I was a lock for the Orioles. And also the way my dad was speaking of some of the people he knew over there. So the Nationals call me. And the best part about that, when you talking about that post, it wasn't even a guarantee that I had the job. I said yes to it. I had to go down and show them I can do it. Which, to me, looking back at it, I took some wild risks. I mean, there's definitely some things, you know, I've walked through some hallways that a lot of people maybe wouldn't have walked through. But like I said, it's hard to describe, and it's hard to tell somebody what you feel here because it's not a visible thing.
So I want to tell you something, actually, just kind of on that biblical sense. The Bible says that faith with no works is dead. Okay. So that means that what you're describing is that you had the faith based off of the work. So you telling your dad, like, I'm turning this job down, was based off of the faith that you had off of the work that you've already done.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And I think that's super awesome. And I think the Milwaukee Milkman thing was super cool. It was a full circle for me because, Aaron Hill, young man Aaron Hill. He's from Groton, Connecticut. A little bit younger than us. I think he's probably 4 or 5 years younger than us.
Love that guy, man.
You ended up working with him, and
every day.
You know, he's a pretty good baseball player. I mean, that kid mashes, and I think it's really cool how that turned out full circle. So shout out to Aaron Hill. Hopefully he gets to hear this or see this at least.
One of the best, man. One of, you know, you try not to have favorites in this game, but Hilly's in that conversation.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Couple things here. So I'm trying to figure out what do I want to. I'll lead with this. So you said cards. You're into the game. I saw that you had some PSAs. What's your best PSA card that you have?
Probably so. It's funny, man. I'm more on the Pokemon side.
My son loves Pokemon, bro.
Yes.
My son loves Pokemon.
So just from a perspective, it's one of the biggest growing media franchises and still is, in the world. Mm-hmm. And we always make that joke. Mr. Charizard is never going to put himself in a bad situation. To hurt his stock, right? So he's always going to be in a game or on a backpack or in a movie or whatever it may be. But currently, I'm sitting on a PSA 10 Umbreon from Evolving Skies, which is a very sought out after card of that era. I currently own like the core 4 of like the 2020 to 2024.
Oh, so you're in the actual more current one too. The more current Pokemon. Okay, cool. And they and they're holding its value like the original or the original ones that
between those 4, you're pushing, not trying to boast, but it's out there. If you want to go look, you're pushing in the $10,000+ range, amongst those 4 cards.
Yeah,
my value.
My buddy had a bunch of old Pokemon cards, and I got into the baseball cards thing. I mean, I have thousands of cards just sitting. I have to get graded, and I just haven't even went down that road. Nothing of significance, the big names or whatever. But I think enough that I could, make a good coin if I sent them out to PSA or whatever. But my buddy reached out to me to talk about his Pokemon cards. He's like, "Listen, can you just sell these for me?" So I looked at. I mean, I'm talking about all the original ones.
All the vintage,
Charizard,
99, 2000, every bit,
all those. And I'm like, dude, we can make some serious money to sell them. But I ended up selling it as a binder because I just could not go through the entire process.
It's a lot of work. Yes,
it's a lot of work, man. So we did pretty good. I think the binder sold for almost $1,800.
I love that.
On eBay, whoever got it's probably gonna make a lot more money. But it is cool that hobby. How it turned. You really can get soaked into the hobby. And,
every bit, man.
Yeah,
every bit. And I think for me, like my passion in it is going to that store, finding the card that isn't graded. Making a play on it. Let me grade this thing and let me see if it comes back and hits a 10.
So basically, what you end up doing is you so people who understand what he's saying is you don't rip a lot of boxes or anything like that.
None whatsoever. I do not.
That's a recipe for disaster for anyone who wants to get into cards.
Buy what you want and do not open packs. Keep it sealed. If anything, keep it sealed.
The last question here. What do you see in the bullpen that an average fan doesn't get to see, on the cameras and whatnot? Something that's a little bit different or maybe unorthodox.
It's pretty cool to see, but you see that switch going from getting ready to compete.
Yeah.
Because you see it as they walk out the gate or they pan the camera to the guy on the mound, as they come out, but you start to see it with about 3 or 4 pitches left. As they come out, you start to, okay, I'm getting a feel for stuff. All right, how's it coming off the hand, timing up my delivery, getting in my rhythm, making sure I'm getting the reps that I need. And then all of a sudden, they rip that one fastball and they go, oop, there it is.
That's awesome.
There's the little extra. There's the more movement. There's the sharper stuff. There's the little bit more focus and intent.
Yeah.
These guys, he's getting locked in now.
Yeah.
Because, we always make the joke, myself and the other bullpen catcher, Jarrett Gonzalez, it's easier to catch these guys out on the field, on the mound, competing than it is in here. Because you're talking about, these guys are like superheroes, man. They have some of the best talent and some of the best stuff in the world. Sure. And until they harness it, it still moves and comes out the same in velocity. It's not as consistent. Yeah. But when you see these guys hone into what they can do, you're like, dude, hitting's hard.
Yeah,
it is so hard with what these guys can do, man. It's a special thing that these guys do.
That's awesome. Hey, listen, Drew Rossi, Washington Nationals bullpen catcher, good friend of mine, former college teammate. It's been a pleasure to have you on my show. Hopefully, when you come down here to Connecticut, or up to Connecticut, we can do this in person and maybe unpack some other things. But before I let you go, where can people find you? It seems like your TikTok is starting to really take off. Yes. What's your handles?
Yeah. So real quick before I do that, I want to leave everybody with something, and I was hoping you were going to ask this question, but we'll do this.
Yeah, no, go for it, bro.
Even more. There's a quote of mine that I really, really like, and for those who just saw Gladiator 2, I'm a Dante's Inferno guy. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan, of that book. I think it really depicts, what we're doing in life. Mm-hmm. Obviously, told in a different way, different fashion. But as you talk about, you can wear off the path, get lost, get distracted, and may not necessarily, focus on what's going on. But one of the quotes is, the gates of hell are open night and day, smooth the descent and easy is the way. But to come back from hell and view the cheerful skies, in this the task and mighty labor lies. And it's one of those things where it is so easy to be complacent, every single solitary day. And that, essentially is, hell. You're in that spot, you're repeating those tasks, you're not moving forward. I mean, you're not even moving backwards. You're at a standstill, and it's just like you need to go through those ups and downs. Get burnt. To come back to really appreciate. Now I can say the spot that I'm in. Every single solitary day. Right. And at the time and the moment that all that stuff was happening to me, and I was going through those things, it's like this is hell. Yeah. This sucks. This is not cool at all, and I don't wish anybody to go through this, because I can tell you right now, there are plenty of nights I'm sitting out on the back porch, with my dog, and I got my hands on the head thinking to myself, what am I doing?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, what is going on, right? And now as I sit here and I look out at this ballpark, I'm talking to you, being able to sit in this position, do what I do on a daily basis, it's like I will go through all of that again.
Is gratitude, man. That's gratitude in a nutshell, brother. So, man, I appreciate you coming on. Be sure to follow Drew real quick. What's the handle on your socials?
So Instagram is Drew_Rossi.
Yeah.
And then my TikTok is my name straight through, Drew Rossi.
Awesome. And make sure that you like, subscribe, and follow the channel. The Open Exchange podcast, with a bunch of content that's going to be coming out here relatively soon. And I appreciate your time, Drew. Until next time,
absolutely,
guys. Thanks.
Brother. Great to catch up.
Yeah, for sure.